I'm Gentleman Josh Hill.
I'm Aaron Jeffrey.
I'm Johnson Jazz Busiest.
I'm Mike Malott.
I'm Rafian Stop.
Tune into
Donttap.
Donttap podcast.
Donttap
podcast.
John Jones.
Follow me on Twitter.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
To me, the Lions are the number one rankings out there. Those guys are the ones who really do their homework.
Man, that's why I'm saying the rankings are bullshit.
From Canada.
Got a really high fight IQ.
But this fight, I'm telling you, it's a flip of a coin.
Levels to the shit.
So many high-level guys.
So, like, the line is crazy.
Oh, there we go. Oh, no, we're good. See, he's a pro.
Okay, Donttap podcast back again. We have Billy Briz coming back in again. Not really filling in for Nick because he's pretty much, the third person in the podcast at this point. We cashed last week, man. I mean, if anybody was on some of the spots that we were on and didn't get foolish and parlay them up too much, you had to make money last week. I mean, even a spot that I wasn't really on, I was more on the home side of things. I mean, I'll let you talk about that. Beautiful, you guys, MMA locker room, like the whole team. You guys were just that was a spot. That was a beautiful spot. And with Holly Holm playing that grappling game and sort of fading a little bit, how did I not jump on board with you guys for falling into that?
It was a good week last week,
man. Talk about the main event last week.
Yeah, it was a good week last week, man. Mayra Bueno Silva did her thing. We hit on some prelim plays, had Alex Munoz. He got the job done against Carl Deaton. Very gritty third round. It could have been a split 1-1, and he went out there in the third round and got the job done. And then we also had Melsik. That fight was a little bit greasy in the beginning, but Melsik ended up doing the striking. So it seems like the work that we're doing behind the scenes in the film room is paying off.
A long term, if it's greasy, no one will really always remember that. They just remember week by week, what were the numbers, where did they move, how did it land, and that was it. So speaking of movement, going into this week, man, a little bit of a mess up on the Vieira line there. I came in at minus 190 just because I thought that there was going to be love coming in on her side, and it's not. And I think maybe I'm seeing something that a lot of other people are not. And I'm looking at takedowns in that fight. So we'll talk about that later on. But now that's sitting at like minus 140, I think she can be had at. So that's like possibly the biggest folly on the early line movement and trying to get lines out there early, which is always the risk. But I do have something else that can sort of – I won't be chasing that line, that money line at minus 140, but taking a look at it, maybe a prop in there. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll let you come in with your first line. What is your first spot that you're looking to jump in with?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this in the DMs. I like Chris Duncan here in this spot here. Both of these fighters made their debut in the O2 Arena. Now they're scheduled to fight each other. So Duncan should be the hometown fighter, though, fought in the UK regional scene. I like this spot here for him. I mean, every undefeated fighter, I feel like, needs to taste the L eventually to get on the other side of, really growing as a fighter. And Duncan had no easy path to the UFC. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about his chin, but in his defense, in the Contender Series fight against Borishev, he cut weight 2 different times and had under week of preparation to fight in Borishev. And then the Charlie Campbell fight, I mean, it was the most famous fight that he's known for, but he needed a KO. I mean, after losing the year before, you go back on the Contender Series. So I don't really doubt him too much because when he went that Morales fight, after he got through the UFC jitters in that third round, he went 4 out of 7 for takedowns. And that's where I really think he can implement that game plan here against Yanel Ashmov. While Duncan's powerful and works behind his jab, in the arsenal of kicks in his bag, he likes a nice little roundhouse kick and low and high kicks. But the biggest knock on me for Duncan is his lack of speed. He's really not that fast. But since he's moved to American Top Team, though, full camp here in American Top Team, he should look really good. I think we're going to get the press, Chris Duncan. And, now on the other side, I feel like people are a little bit overrating him after Sam Patterson knockout in the O2 Arena last year. But Sam Patterson was on fraud alert in the Contender Series fight. You saw that one in the
100%.
film. That one. So I wasn't too surprised with that one. I think Duncan, it could go 2 ways. Duncan could get into a war and knock this dude out, or he can win a unanimous decision and wrestle. He's like dollar store Dustin Poirier. So I'm riding with my man Chris Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan was spending some time down at American Top Team as he was, making his way into the UFC. And then I think he's been down there for like the past year, or spent most of his year down at ATT. And yeah, he's been seen with, Dawson, been seen with Poirier. He's training down there nonstop. So the wrinkles were shown in his last fight. I mean, he came in with fight IQ, right? So I know a lot of people were on him for being chinny, but I mean, what is chinny? Are we looking at it really dissecting what the knockout was? Was it a knockdown? Was it a full KO? Was it putting himself in fire when he shouldn't be putting himself in fire? Because sometimes it's strategy. Some guys just continuously put themselves in bad spots, and that's why they get knocked out. And sure, after a while, I mean, it's going to have its effect. But I just think he showed such a wrinkle of wrestling. I thought it was actually even 5 takedowns, but I mean, I'll take 4 either way. 4, anything over 3 takedowns in a fight is a commitment to wrestling, and actually, committing and actually getting 3 down in that last fight. He showed that he's committed to everything is showing commitment to change and growth. And I like momentum, and I like these things. And I've been wanting to cheer for the Scotsman. I've been backing off it because of my Scottish roots. But I gotta back him in this one. I think we got in at minus 120 initially. I still even like him at the minus 140. I know that Yanal presents power, and I know it actually does carry late. He's got most of his knockouts in rounds 2 and 3, but this is against like lower level competition. And I think Duncan is now leveled up at American Top Team. I think there really is something about training with that championship pedigree, and he's been down there long enough. I can say it's some of it's got to have stuck, and it's shown in his last fight. So give me Chris Duncan. I like the money line. That's going to be our money line play of the week between the two of us. Let's go Scotland the Brave all fucking week. Let's do it. And the other spot on here,
yeah,
too,
we've been rolling.
Story. The violence spot, I mean, under 2.5 is minus 165. I think if Duncan gets it, he gets it late. But yeah, I know it's sketchy. I'm more just throwing it out to people that are not on the Duncan side of things. But I'm with Duncan on this one. I just think he's the play all day.
Yeah, I mean, the money line spots have been hidden. I mean, we had Brandon Allen. Since that Brandon Allen card, we've just been rolling through with these money line spots. What's your next spot, though? Because I knew that was going to be one of your spots, but we've just been hitting it.
Yeah, that was my spot. I mean, I'm actually a little doggy this week, man. I'm going to come in with Andre Fili. And it's against a lot of people. I've been going against the grain of a lot of people, but let me explain. Wood is not a power puncher that's going to pressure Fili back. He's a calf kicker that has some solid hands, but has some holes in his striking as well too. Although I think the striking level, I think he does have Fili beat there. But Fili makes it ugly. And Fili is a wrestler, man. Fili's roots, he's going to try to get in on those hips and take you down. So, like, if you look at Fili against, I mean, what do we got here? Let me just pull this up. So we got him against Sadiq Yusuf. This is a great benchmark, right? He takes Sadiq Yusuf down 3 times. And although he does lose that fight on the scorecards, man, he took him down 3 times. And I don't know, Yusuf, I think, what is he? 70% takedown defense, right? So, I mean, if he commits to the wrestling, I think he takes down Wood, who's been taken down by Kenny took him down twice, Rosa took him down twice, and Jourdain even took him down once. So I just think that if Fili can, mix in some takedowns, get at least 2 takedowns in this fight, make it ugly, maybe land some of the bigger damaging shots because he does have some pop in his punches. I just think he can make this greasy as fuck. And if you look at plus 160 and you're going to give me Fili with a wrinkle that I'm pretty sure he's going to be flying out. I'll give confirmation later on, but he was supposed to be in his corner. Mike Malott in his corner. It's this little side note, but if we're looking at Fili making the right decision at the right time and getting someone in his ear at the right time, I mean, that's an extra little small wrinkle I'll take all day long. I think wrestling's going to play a part in this fight. I think, I just think that Wood has been taken down, and he's like his path to success. He's going to have to get to Fili's calf right away. He's going to actually have to, keep him off him and land that calf kick and get some respect, damage him and damage that driving power so Fili can't take him down or bounce him off the cage. So I don't know, man. I like Fili. I think anything, south of plus 160, you guys can play it whatever way you want. I like plus 160, and I think it's actually going back up at Pinnacle right now. It's plus 163. So I'm in on that. And I think even the takedown prop, depending on where it is, they may disrespect him a little bit. And if they do, I'm going to be there to say hello to it. So
I don't think the Wood knocks out Andre Fili, even though, I mean, Fili's had some weird moments in the UFC. But what about Andre Fili's scorecard, no action?
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty solid way to play that one. The one I'm actually going to look at is probably the spread. That's probably going to be a hammer spot for me, depending on where they line that. That's just been something that's been hitting all week. I mean, look at Nam, and I got to thank you last week on the Nam thing because you sort of posed a question to me, right? You're like, is Nam really an apple pie shitter? More or less, you were trying to see if there was anything to snip out there, and sure enough, he almost was, right? Like that line was wide for a reason. People were sweating the shit out of that one, and guess what? He stole the round, right? So I mean, that spread game works, and I think in this fight, Feely on the spread may be a play as well too, depending on how that looks. So we'll take a look at that one. How do you feel about this fight, and do you have any plays on it, or do you want to move on to your next play?
I think it's a fight where I kind of lean towards the Nathaniel Wood side, but from a betting perspective, I think there's more ways to make money on Andre Feely because I think this is a greasy ass split decision.
Agreed.
I don't think Nathaniel Wood's power. I mean, his jabs are nice, but I don't think his power is really going to carry up to the next weight class. I mean, I bet Charles Jourdain in the last bout kind of got burned a little bit, but that's the kind of fighter you get out of Charles Jourdain. I feel like Andre Feely's more of an old school type of fighter.
One more wrinkle. There's actually something that he hasn't really faced, even at least more recently. I tried to look back. Wood hasn't faced somebody of this size. So
Yeah.
Feely actually he's been fighting guys pretty much at the same reach advantage and height as him for a while. And Feely has a 5-inch reach advantage and I believe a 4 or 5-inch height advantage. So, I mean, that can play against you sometimes with the striking. If you're a little bit taller, you get basically tagged up. You can be tagged up pretty easily. Or, I mean, if he can work that reach and make it a little bit greasy, clinch up and try to get this to the ground, I think he gets him down. But that size could potentially play a role. What's your next spot on the card?
Yeah, I'm looking at Molly Meatballs here for this fight against Julia Sororenko here. I get it. People see the line, and it's a little of a sticker shocker seeing Molly open up at -400. I mean, the majority of the fighters are really only fighting with the hopes of really getting a title shot one day. And Aaron Blanchfield kind of destroyed any shot of Molly Meatball ever seeing that title one day. So Molly was riding really high, though, prior to that fight. 3-fight winning streak, 2 performance of the night bonuses. With the performances both in the O2 Arena where she's at this weekend, co-main event. I mean, Molly, she's got to know now she's a surprise fighter. I mean, the UFC wants her to have fun, entertaining fights for the English target market. And you could try to make a compelling case about women's MMA favorites and how they bust at this price tag. But Storienko's UFC run is just horrible. She's lost 4 out of her last 5. The Jessica Rose Clark one, I was on that one, but that was kind of very fluky. I mean, she's complete armbar or bust. Hence why you see the over-under on this fight at 2.5 at -140. But I kind of favor Molly here in this spot. I would line her here as a -400. So that line's coming down to like -200. And it keeps on going down. I hope the value's there. I'm going to wait a little bit on this one. And I'm going to get in on Molly Meatball. I mean, do you really think the UFC is going to let Molly Meatball, Patty Pimlet moment go away in hopes of building up Julia Sorienko? I mean, Molly would have to do something beyond drastic to really lose this fight. She's a better grappler of these two. She has to stay away from the submissions when she's in top mount. But really where I favor her here is the striking. She's not the fastest fighter, but she packs a punch for this weight class. And Stoyarenko in her last fight versus Chandler struggled mightily in the striking exchanges. Was able to get taken down to the ground and get ground and pound. And we saw last week Chelsea Chandler is not good. She's borderline, barely UFC level. So,
motherfucker.
what's the score?
2-2.
Let's go. I'll keep a close eye, though, for the interviews. I want to see how Molly's coming out this week. Old Molly Meatball, I would say by unanimous decision, but Molly Meatball co-main event, she might get a knockout here against Ulyarenko. I like Molly Meatballs a lot.
Yeah, I think her pressure is just going to be way too much. And as soon as she touches you, like she just pours it on. And she does have that power in her punches. Yeah, she does have the spinning stuff and whatever else, but it's more just the boxing. It's pretty solid boxing, man. Definitely a spot for her. I think this is set up for her just to put on a show, more or less. It's a show, like not a show me spot. It's a platform for her to really make the fans jump up and down and set up that main event. So I'm definitely with you on this one. I'm gonna come in with a spot that's controversial, but man, I've been seeing the commitment to get down to that weight, and the man looks like a monster. And if you follow him on Instagram, Paul Craig is looking like a bad man. He's been training like a bastard. He's cut, like conditioning looks, I mean, good, at least for what he's been training. He's been training nonstop. He has a coach pretty much breaking down everything for him. He's going to be right on weight without an issue. I don't think there's going to be any problem for him at all. And I get, poor decisions in the cage, which is why everybody's like, oh, I'm staying off of this. But this line just keeps moving. He's sitting at plus 200 right now. And I mean, I don't know if you could, I think it was Bet Online where I found it, but if you want to check right now, but he's sitting at plus 200 right now. And I think that in a guy like Muniz, who looked, I don't even know what to describe what he did against Allen. He just stood in front of him at times, should have tried to take it to the ground a little bit earlier. I just don't know what he was doing. And then even with the striking, he was just getting pieced up. Muniz did not look good at all. The one thing, if you look at the subs, I mean, Muniz probably the better submission guy as far as, I think, probably the more technical. But when Craig jumps on that neck or jumps on that arm, like, he could take anybody's. And I just think that if that line keeps moving, I'm jumping on this guy who's committed to going down in the weight class. And I think he pretty much knows the writing is on the wall. When you back a guy into a corner like that, I mean, I'm so, like, you're going to give me value on a guy like that. I know he's kill or bust, but I'm almost willing to take a shot on the kill or bust at value money. And I think plus 200 right now is silly. I think that's what's actually even at DK. So,
yeah, I don't know though. I can't be betting Paul Craig fights. That's how you get and lose years off your life. This would be another one I would probably look at a decision scorecards where you get your money back, because I mean, I don't really see Andre Muniz finishing Paul Craig here. If Paul Craig's going to lose, it's probably going to be him doing some bullshit and him losing the fight. But I don't blame you here for taking the dog shot here for Paul Craig. I find my edge in UFC fights by looking at a little bit of the striking. That's where I feel like I get my edge. My edge is definitely not telling you who the better jiu-jitsu grappler of these two is. So I'm off of this one, man.
No, I get it 100%. I just think for me, it's just sometimes you got to look at a guy who's backed into a corner and you think, does he have it in him to finish the fight? And just his commitment to wanting to cut down. And if you watch it, go on his Instagram. He's like, it's actually his like trainer, like a little like floating head, explaining what Craig's doing. I don't know. I'm just sort of on that side. I think over plus 200 now. I mean, I was there at plus 180, and I'm there at plus 200. So, what is your next spot on the card?
Yeah, next spot on the card, I'm going with a dog here. Jai Herbert, man. This is going to be a greasy-ass fight, and I'm looking forward to it. This line's going opposite of my pick here, but this is going to be Herbert's fourth consecutive fight in London, and I feel like people are underestimating him here in this spot. His last fight, he basically won the fight besides the point deduction that really caused the draw in the fight. He was dominating a tough-ass Ludovic line, and I get it. The former Cage Warriors champion will have a tough test ahead of him against Siam, training out of Killcliff FC. And he was marketed to us as a kickboxer, but it was really his wrestling that really got him that win that UFC Paris card last time out. He was able to get takedowns on Figlat 5 different times throughout the fight. And that's not really his fighting style, though, but he will shoot him for takedowns. He's more than comfortable striking, though. But I'm going with Jai Herbert here, man. He gave Topuria his toughest test. Chin checked him round one. Topuria dropped. I mean, this is Topuria's the only time that he didn't really look invincible. I mean, that just shows Herbert's sneaky power that he has behind his punches. He's fought at the toughest level of competition. His losses are to Topuria, Renat, Moicano, and UFC vet legend Francisco Trinaldo. And that was his debut. But as this fight goes, though, it seems a little bit sketchy, but I'm going to rock with the hometown guy here. It's going to be a real sketchy one. Like, this is one where – like, this is one where I'm just going to have to stick to my gut. I get it, the 9-year age difference and all that. What are your opinions about this one?
I mean, the one thing that Jai Herbert I've been on the other side of his fights, and he sort of surprised me at points with the level of grappling. He has leveled up in his defensive wrestling, trying to keep it on the feet. And his his striking on the feet is solid. He gets hit sometimes, right? And it doesn't look good in the judges' eyes. That's probably one of his biggest problems he does have. But I see the shot there on Herbert. But for me, I looked at the fight and I was just like, I was already feeling greasy. I'm already on dogs, and I'm like, that fight is real greasy. So I mean, even maybe looking at the spread on that one for yourself too might be a way to play that one too. Like, I'm on Feely, probably spread. That's probably going to be one of my biggest plays, depending on where the line is. This could be one of your biggest plays. I know that not everybody gets the spread, so we're trying to hit the dog numbers too. And I mean, Pantoja, we did that as well too. But I think the spread would be a good play on that one too. And
no doubt, I might take your advice on that.
Depending on where the line is, right? Like if anything under minus 160, I think that he wins a round for sure. I think the grappling's his momentum in his grappling. When someone shows wrinkles, camp by camp, they're getting better and better. Even if they don't even win a fight, you got to back someone like that at times. There's spots to back them in, so not a bad spot at all. And stick to your guns on things, man. Don't, especially going on podcasts, you get muddied off some of your picks. Don't do it. Stick to your guns unless there's legitimate, something to it. And I'm actually, it's sort of a good segue into Ketlin Vieira. The line has moved bad for me. So initially I'm looking at minus 190. I thought it was going to go the other way. I really did. I thought people would be looking at Penny Kianzad and think just a kickboxer for the most part, who has gotten better in the grappling. And that's sort of what I think people are looking at. But I'll be honest, man, I think that there's going to be a game plan here. I think that Ketlin knows this is sort of a do or die in a situation of momentum for her. She needs to stay relevant. This isn't like a calling card for her, but she's got to have to stay relevant in the division. She's got to win this fight, and by any means necessary. And I think that takedowns are coming, and I think she's going to be able to get those takedowns pretty regularly. I know I'm always on the takedown props and trying to jump and find that fight where the takedown props are. Sometimes it's a swing and a miss. Even last week, I'm glad we didn't make that a play. Look at Munoz; he didn't really jump into those takedowns.
Munoz cashed it. Munoz cashed it. It was 3 takedowns plus 105.
But I'm pretty sure it was by the end, though, wasn't it? Like there was a point of sweat.
It was all in the third round, but once he did,
it was a point of sweat. Dumped him on his head. Yeah, no. I felt like they were coming, but I was like,
when people look back at that fight. When people look back at that fight 6 months from now, they're just going to see 5 takedowns. The line was at 3. So fuck.
They're just going to see the spike on the head when he spikes him on the head. But yeah, so Vieira, the one line I was looking at, man, Kianzad has been sub before. And I'm looking at Vieira. I think she's going to have to be – she can't fuck around here. And she's not going to be trying to get her down on the fence like she did with Holm, who Holm a lot stronger, was able to fight it off and take Vieira down at times. I think she's going to get some takedowns, and I like the sub value right now. It's plus 550. You check the line. I just
want to stay off of both of the other 2 women's fights. Like, I like Molly Meatball, but this fight, the Ketlin Vieira fight against Penny Kianzad's a pass, and so is the Bruna Brazil Shauna. I forget her name. Bronson. I think that's her name.
Yeah, and I think that's how you say it. But I actually may even have Ladies and Locks coming on to talk later in the week about that fight, because he is a sharp take apparently on that one. So we're hopefully going to get him on. But I get you wanted to stay off it. It's not really me digging necessarily to find more, because I mean, I still think there's value now at the low line. But I mean, once I'm in at minus 190, I can't go in on minus 140 again. That's just fucking stupid. It makes no sense. It's either if there's value,
double down. Gotta double down.
So for me, I like the sub prop, and I think that'll be just for the prop I throw out there, and it'll be a sprinkle.
You gotta double down, man. I'm telling you, you gotta double down. So I'll give you a prime example. I bet Melsick.
Yeah, let's go. Talk to me.
I bet Melsick last week minus 168. We're on the live bet stream, and right before the fight started, the line was at minus 148. Double down, no hesitation, cash. Like the bet's already in your pending thing. You might as well just throw a little bit more money at it. You don't have to slam it like you did it the first time, but throw a little bit on it. Throw a little quarter unit on it.
Fair enough. I just don't know those are the things that I'm learning, right? In that scenario, jumping in on it early doesn't make sense to double down on it. Like I said, all the
go in on a prop, or you can hedge it. You can hedge it. Your 3 options are: you can hedge it with the other line, you can find a prop, or you can rebet it again.
And you're suggesting the latter of it all. So we will go with that. What is some of the spots that you're looking at?
rebet it again, but you do make a compelling case. Watching that main event last week, she's gonna have to do some shit.
Yeah, like that. It's not that she's backed in a corner, but I just think that she knows. Like she's had sort of unremarkable fights, and I think that her talent level is way more way at a higher level than what she's shown in her last couple of fights. And maybe that's because of the like step up in competition, right? She's fighting like some of the top tier fighters in the women's division for the past 10 years. So I mean, who knows? I just think this is a spot. She also has the 5 rounds. She has 2 5-round fights under her belt as well too. Just a couple little wrinkles that I just think that there was value on it. I projected the line the wrong way, but I think that whether it's a double down or even looking at that submission, I do like it. So, what's another spot that you like on the card?
All the spots I have on my card are really chalky this week.
Yeah.
I was looking at
What do you
Tom
think about
Aspinall.
Davey Grant and Daniel Marcos? I mean, where do you find what is it, violence or is it violence?
All right, so first,
man, that's gonna be fun to watch.
First initial thought about that fight, looked at the line, was like, all right, maybe Davey Grant is a dog play. Then I did the tape for it, and I was like, fuck no.
Marcos is a bad man. He's a sniper. He's a sniper. Like we were on him initially. I think you were even on him as well too when he first came out. Daniel Marcos just a sniper, just a scary.
I was one play I was thinking about eyeing up was a potential under in the first fight of the night in Fiallo and Baez. Baez is on a nice little KO streak, even though he lost his Contender Series fight against Carlos Hernandez. I definitely think he packs a punch, and you saw Fiallo in his last fight. Anybody besides Makhayev's tapping, so I could definitely see a finish in that first fight of the night.
Okay, so if we're looking at it, the lines that we're mostly on, we look at Chris Duncan right now. I mean, we put it out at -120, but at the same time, it's right around what, -135, -140.
Nah,
currently?
150, 155.
Oh, it's already moving. All right, -150, 155. Where's your cap on that one? Right around there.
I would say I would feel comfortable betting it up to -175, honestly.
Okay, and then the Ketlin Vieira. I mean, I'm going to sort of double down the way that I think I'm going to look at that sub prop. I think +550, there's value in it. I think that if she gets this to the ground, she get an arm triangle, and that is where I'm going to lean towards. I do like you were looking at your Jai Herbert. I mean, I think that's even looking at maybe that spread.
Yeah, find a way to bet that. I'll find either a money line spread, maybe a decision prop, KO or decision. I gotta sit on that one, see how that line plays out. A little bit of due diligence. It's like the Chris Duncan line kind of got away, but in return, I got the Molly Meatball line really far down because I was actually thinking about playing that straight when it first opened out, but glad I'm waiting on it because I see why people like Storenko, but I got to roll with my girl, Molly Meatball.
No, pressure is going to be the problem, I think, in that one for sure. I'm on Feely as the dog. I think +160 works for me. Anything north of +160 works, and I do like the spread. Well, I'll see what the spread is, but I think if the value, like, what do you think under -160? Well, I don't even know how they're going to do it, like how they'll lay that out. Do you think it'll be +3.5 or? Yeah, he's the dog, so it'll be +3.5
at minus like 150 through -175. One of those, somewhere around the range.
Which I'm good at anything south of like -160, I think. So, but that will likely be a big play. And then we haven't talked about it. We'll just sort of talk about it. Tom Aspinall against Tybura. Though Tybura has been a guy that sticks around and fights and can push through, I just think that Aspinall probably has him beat absolutely everywhere on the ground. He's just an explosive jiu-jitsu practitioner, and then also on top of that, he raised his striking is just everything is just damage. So it's the speed, the agility. Tybura may last and take it deep. There may be a live value, but I highly doubt it. I think that Aspinall gets it done. What's your thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, weird week for me. 2 rules you try to stay away from parlays is women's MMA and men's heavyweight, and that's the co-main and the main event. I mean, both fighters are set up in a perfect spot to get a W.
Any parlays that you're leaning towards?
Yeah, Tom Aspinall, Molly Meatball.
Oh, is that what you're doing? Okay.
Molly Meatball and Merzak against Brian Barberena. And then Chris Duncan straight play and figure out the rest of the card with the Jai Herbert underdog stuff. And man, the women's fights are just sketchy. I feel like I should just be cool with the Miley Meatball one. That line came down. It's a gift. I'm gonna take it.
Unless you're on Big Norm and Big Norm makes people run.
No, I was feeling Big Norm, and then something about watching that Megan Anderson fight threw me off when I was.
No, I get it. It's another thing that, like, even when I was going with Paul Craig, it's just the training, the intensity, and I know it's just clips and videos and shit, and it's sometimes it's false, and you don't want to play into it too much. But just when you consistently see training and someone just leveling up, like she came in, I was like, she gonna piss hot? Because she was like, she looked pretty jacked up, like, but it's just she trains like a motherfucker. She doesn't stop. So, any other spots you can think of, or are we good to go for the week? I
think we're good to go for the week. We'll figure out anything out. We'll put it out on the social medias.
So Chris Duncan, I'm going against everybody that pretty much in the world and saying Paul Craig is the value at plus 200. And then on top of that, the Ketlin Vieira sub, I think at plus 550. And then also looking at the Feely spread and Feely dog as well too. So for Billy Briz, for Nick Eagle, who's down east and just partying, probably not even coherent at this point. There's a very good chance of that. And we probably wouldn't be able to pronounce a damn name or word or anything.
He's definitely not watching this UFC London card. Way too early.
No, hell no. That man will be hungover and sleeping. But anyways, for Billy Briz, I'm Cal McGregor. Tune to the Donttap podcast.